At Manchester United's academy, coaches whispered that Ravel Morrison had more natural talent than anyone before him. Yet almost every mentor issued the same warning. As Morrison's gifts outshone his peers, his off-field issues multiplied. Talent this pure had never been paired with such persistent concern, and the fallout would set football on alert. What went wrong for the player, everyone was told to fear. Wythenshawe and Moston, on the southern and northern edges of Manchester, shaped more than just Ravel Morrison's accent. In those neighborhoods, football wasn't a pastime. It was a way out, a language spoken on concrete patches behind tower blocks and on battered grass at the local park. The game there moved fast, with no time for hesitation and no margin for fear. Morrison, born in February 1993, was smaller than most, but impossible to pin down. Even as a child, he had a knack for gliding through crowded games, the ball pulled to his feet as if by instinct. Coaches at Grassroots Club, Fletcher Moss Rangers watched him twist and feint around older boys who had already learned to be physical. There was a freedom to his play, a creativity that belonged to the street more than any academy drill. Local coach Phil Brogan remembers the first time he saw Morrison play. The ball seemed to obey him in a way it did not for others. A flick here, a drag back there, always a step ahead. Brogan's word carried weight in Manchester football circles, and he did not hesitate. He brought Morrison into the fold at Fletcher Moss, a club known for producing future stars. By the time Manchester United scouts arrived, Morrison's reputation had already spread. He was not just another promising kid. He was the one everyone wanted to watch. In a city where football dreams are common, Morrison's skill set him apart. His dominance on the street pitches was the first sign that something special was growing in Manchester's backyards. Carrington, Manchester United's training ground, was a world away from the parks of Wythenshawe. Every day, the academy's best gathered under the watchful eyes of coaches who had seen future internationals pass through their doors. The standards were relentless. Sessions ran with military precision. Mistakes were called out, and every drill was a test of focus as much as skill. Ravel Morrison, still a teenager, didn't just keep up. He set the pace. Peers like Paul Pogba and Jesse Lingard were highly rated, but Morrison's touch and vision drew quiet murmurs from staff and loud praise from visiting scouts. The ball seemed lighter at his feet. By February 2010, Morrison had signed his first professional contract at just 17, a moment reserved for those the club believed could handle the pressure of the badge. The real proof came a year later, in the 2011 FA Youth Cup. In the semi-final at Old Trafford, Morrison opened the scoring against Chelsea, helping United to a 4-0 win. In the final's second leg against Sheffield United, he scored twice. One was a curling shot from the edge of the box. The other, a close-range finish, sealing a 4-1 victory and the trophy. Across both legs, he played with a freedom that made the occasion look easy. Coaches called his performances decisive. Teammates called them inspiring. For a brief moment, Carrington's routines and the Youth Cup spotlight combined to show what was possible. Morrison was not just another academy hopeful. He was the player others measured themselves against. Court dates began to shadow Ravel Morrison's rise through Manchester United's academy. In 2009, while still a teenager, he was handed a community order after being charged with attempted robbery. The incident did not end his career, but it set a precedent, one that would follow him through the most critical years of his development. The real test came in 2011. At just 17, Morrison pleaded guilty to 2 counts of witness intimidation. The details were stark: threats made, bricks thrown through a window, a family forced to put their house up for sale. The court, weighing his age and talent, imposed a 12-month referral order and ordered him to pay £1,445 in compensation and costs. No prison sentence. Instead, the justice system offered rehabilitation, a chance to avoid a criminal record if he complied. Within the walls of Manchester United, these events could not be ignored. Coaches and club officials faced a dilemma. Morrison's ability on the pitch was matched only by the gravity of his actions off it. The referral order ran in parallel with his football, a constant reminder that the cost of his decisions was not just measured in missed training sessions or stern words from coaches, but in legal records and court-mandated supervision. Each appearance in youth court chipped away at the sense of inevitability that surrounded his footballing future. The consequences, once minor, had grown into something that could not be explained away by youth or potential. Every intervention, every second chance, now carried the weight of official paperwork and public scrutiny. Diagnosis of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder brought a new layer of complexity to Ravel Morrison's life at Manchester United. The club's medical staff, recognizing the impact of his symptoms on both behavior and concentration, sought to support him with the tools available. Standard treatment for ADHD often involves medication, commonly stimulants that help regulate focus and impulse control. But in elite football, even medical solutions can meet immovable barriers. Under anti-doping regulations, prescription stimulants require a therapeutic use exemption, spelled TUE. Manchester United's doctors submitted the paperwork, hoping to secure official permission for Morrison to take his medication without risking a ban. The application was denied. Anti-doping authorities, following strict international codes, refused to make an exception. The club had no choice but to instruct Morrison to stop taking his prescription. Compliance with the rules outweighed the individual need. Without medication, Morrison's challenges intensified. Coaches and mentors tried to fill the gap with structure, extra meetings, closer supervision, reminders to stay on task. The club's welfare team increased their efforts, offering counseling and behavioral support. But the limits of what could be managed within the system became clear. The combination of untreated symptoms and the relentless demands of academy life left Morrison exposed. Inside Carrington, the conversation shifted. The club faced a dilemma: protect the group's standards or continue to make allowances for a player whose needs fell outside the norm. The refusal of the TUE did not just shape medical policy, it shaped the club's response to risk. Each episode of misbehavior became harder to explain as a one-off. The search for a solution narrowed, and the possibility of a future elsewhere grew. This was one career. Ravel Morrison's career became a string of departures and arrivals, each move carrying the hope of a fresh start. West Ham United signed him in January 2012 in a transfer that included a clause paying Manchester United for every appearance he made. He scored on his League Cup debut against Cheltenham and showed moments of flair, but consistency slipped away. Loans to Birmingham City, Queen's Park Rangers, and Cardiff City followed in quick succession, each club offering a new environment, different teammates, and another chance to settle. In 2015, Morrison joined Lazio in Serie A, hailed as a revival, but he played only 2 times before moving on again. Stints in Sweden, the Netherlands, and Ireland came and went, brief chapters that never added up to stability. In 2022, he joined DC United in Major League Soccer, scoring 1 goal against Atlanta, but he was soon dropped from the squad. By 2023, he had signed with Precision FC in the UAE, his 14th club, before the age of 31. This was one career. 14 clubs by the age of 31. That number alone places Ravel Morrison in rare company, but not for the reasons most imagined when he first broke through. Repetition is at the heart of elite football, showing up, delivering, and growing within the same demanding environment week after week. The checklist is simple but unforgiving. Reliability, discipline, adaptability, and the ability to handle pressure over years, not just moments. Morrison's technical gifts were never in doubt, but the habits required to anchor a long-term career proved elusive. 3 senior appearances for Manchester United stand in stark contrast to the expectations set by his youth performances. The pattern that followed was short spells, flashes of brilliance, then another move, and it became the story itself. In the world's top leagues, talent opens doors, but only structure keeps them open. Elite football now invests more in mentoring than ever, but raw talent still risks slipping through the cracks. For every prospect, the warning echoes. Gifts alone never guarantee a future. The game rewards resilience, not just ability. This was one career.